There's no way in hell we got a Sunday stream. What do you mean? Sunday's just like every other day of the week. What, it's because it's the day of our Lord? Is that what you mean? Like you're conflicted between... You don't like me streaming on Sundays because you have to pick between me and the Lord. It's because you never stream Sunday. I don't? Wait, do I not? Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I like right now I have absolutely no preference as to what day I stream. And I feel like I haven't for a pretty long time. I can't remember the last time you streamed, let alone stream a Sunday. Okay. Yeah, I'm not streaming a lot right now. I'm just not... There's not any games that are like calling out to me, you know? Like WoW, Latent WoW Farm. I mean, I'm years past really being into that shit. And sometimes there's some other game. Like I was maybe gonna play Dune Awakening with Shroud on last Thursday when it came out. The survival game with like a bunch of people. I shouldn't end up doing it. I don't know. I'm in like a game hole right now. You guys know what I mean? You guys ever felt that way? Oh, except for Expedition 33, that was a banger, but I didn't stream it. How was the creator clash for you? What is that? Creator clash. Fuck are you talking about? Liquid did a dastardly duo. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know about that. I didn't know it was called the Creator Clash. So I'm picking up what you're putting down right now. I feel it. I'll go live. What's up? Yeah, I saw it in the morning. I like tuned in before I did something. And then I saw that we were like winning by a lot. And then somehow we ended up losing. So who knows? Looking homeless? I don't know. I'm looking like a guy, you know? My hair's a little crazy right now. It's all good though. I'm honestly surprised you haven't been on Night Rain, considering how much you liked Elden Ring. You know what I can tell? You know how kind of similarly to how... If you guys have ever played ARPGs... And I mean like really fucking played them. You know the feeling of like loving a game and wanting to game really bad, but also that you don't want to for a long time. Like you play PoE or Diablo or whatever, and you're so into it, and then you're like so done with it until the next season or like 2 seasons from then, you know? Like you just need some time away, but then you know at some point in the future you're gonna be down to do it again. I'm like that right now with all of games. Like, I can actually feel myself getting to the point where I'm pretty sure I'm getting ready to go hard as fuck at something, and I'm, like, totally open to it. Something just needs to present itself. And then I'm going to do it, and it's going to be great. I stand by it. Check out Mario Kart World. I have a Nintendo Switch 2 in the mail on the way to me. I had to buy it from a fucking scalper. So, yes, I'm part of the problem that scalpers exist. But in my defense, I went to a GameStop and a Best Buy. And I was like, yo. So, because I forgot to pre-order it. Mostly because I'm stupid. And then... Yeah, they told me that they won't have stock back until maybe the end of the month. And then I'm like, okay, well. So first of all, huge L for me just simply not pre-ordering one, but I will I will definitely not be waiting until the end of the fucking month to get new product. Especially, dude, honestly, it was really annoying. Like, all of those websites don't let you order them online or check the stock online. They make you call or go in person to see. But that's like such a fucking waste of time. Like, why am I going to drive 15 to 20 minutes to somewhere just for someone to tell me that it's like 99% chance it's going to be sold out? Like, why can't you just let me know there's one there? Every single Target, Walmart, GameStop, and Best Buy all did that shit. Really, really frustrating. I mean, if it's like sold out, like, here's what I'm saying. I had to go there, and they were like, dude, not only is it sold out, it's like fucking turbo sold out. Like, we won't have any back for a while. Okay, cool. So just like, why on earth could you not say that on the website or when I called you so I didn't have to drive here, you know? But yeah, bought one from a scalper. Uh, not super happy about it, but I got rush shipping, so hopefully that shit'll be here and I'll have some fun playing it. Dude, I'm trash at Mario Kart, mostly because I just haven't played it. I don't really like really understand like exactly when to drift and stuff, and I heard this new one you can like grind on walls and shit, so looks kind of fun, but I don't know. I actually was looking for a good turn-based game, and someone recommended to me the new Paper Mario game and said it actually has some some skillful gameplay, some timing stuff that feels pretty good. Might be trying that. The only problem with Nintendo games is they're good in concept, but then they're made for children, and so they're not challenge. Like, you know, like Expedition 33. I loved Expedition 33, but only because it was fucking crazy hard. Like, if it was Expedition 33, if they knew their primary market was children, then it probably wouldn't have been as good for me, you know? Like, for you to have, you can have all of the character customization and cool talents and fun build stuff, but if you don't have something that will allow that level of, like, personalization and like, if you don't have a challenge that makes that matter, then it doesn't matter. Like, the game that sticks out the most to me like this is actually Final Fantasy 16. Was it 16, 15? The one where it had like the Devil May Cry combat system type shit. Okay, that game, I had so much fun build crafting and like coming up with different, bro, I probably changed my talents in that game like 50 times. But it was so upsetting to finish it because none of it mattered because the game was so easy. You could have, I don't think I died on a single boss once. There was never a point where you felt like you were in danger. And it was purely because the game was just literally on easy mode. And they had a hard mode, but you couldn't unlock the hard mode until you finished the entire game and did New Game Plus. It's so stupid. Like, I would have enjoyed the game significantly more had they allowed you to put it on a harder difficulty earlier and allowed all of those really good, like, all-time great build customization stuff. But then, like, it just, none of it matters, you know? It sucks. Max, are you going to try Chrono Odyssey? I don't even know what that means. I didn't see the Summer Games Showcase the other day, so if there's any cool trailers, I'd like to look at them. What is it that locking difficulties behind beating the game is ass? They did that in the first Doom reboot and changed it for Eternal and Dark Ages. Because, yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, most people that play a game, I think this is true. No, I mean, this is true, right? Like, most people that play a single player RPG experience are going to play through the story one time, if that, and that's it, right? I'm not even sure if the majority of players who buy a game finish it. I'd be interested to know that, actually, but like, people who do New Game Plus, like, they beat a game and then play it again right away, bro, that has to be like less than 5% of players. Very small. It's like you're locking an entire difficulty. I guess my other question would be, like, what's the harm? Like, are you afraid that people are going to put it on too hard of a difficulty initially and then just think the game isn't fun and quit rather than turning down the difficulty? Is that the thought? I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Is that like people can't help themselves and they just play it on the hardest difficulty and then they just quit rather than turn it down? The ill trailer looks crazy. You take a look. Is this a D's Nuts joke? I feel like it is. You never know. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean I'll look at the the games that look worth. I would have streamed that. I would have streamed the Summer Games Showcase. I could have streamed yesterday. I just didn't know when. Like, I don't wake up in the morning and I know what's happening. That's a big problem. Like, if someone in my life was just like, "Hey, Max, some good stream content today," I would have logged on and streamed it, but I just didn't know. I just didn't know it was happening. Unfortunate. Ill is an actual game. Alright, let's check this shit out. Summer Games Fest. So who runs Summer Games Fest? I saw Jeff Keighley there or whatever. So is it related to like the Game Awards? Is it like they made it bi-yearly basically? It's Jeff's thing. It's an easy. Max, buy a Switch 2 and play Mario Kart. Guys, I did buy a Switch 2. It's not here yet, bro. Okay. Let's see. Summer Game Fest 2025. Someone's probably got the whole thing on here, hopefully. I see a bunch of individual gameplay trailers. I just want to see the whole thing. I did find a 2-hour one, some kind of fest. Wait, no, this is fucking Harbor Fest. What is that? Oh, it's boating.
Just a large stick sticking out of the bottom of the deck that a crew member
Bro, this shit owns.
Turning left and right in lieu of a steering wheel.
Okay.
So right now, this is Delaware's official tall ship, and it's now used for educational purposes. It's used for
All right, cool. So, here's what I was looking for. Summer Game Fest. I just see. Oh wait, this looks like it. Right? It was right under the Harbor Fest thing. It says Resident Evil Requiem. Oh no, it doesn't have timestamps. That's cooked. Yeah, no timestamps, unfortunately. Unwatchable nonsense. Okay, so we are going to have to watch individual game trailers, I suppose. Okay. All right, so what do you guys want to watch? You said Ill? Tons of shadow drops. Yeah, the one that hit my algorithm somehow is some guy hit some make FPS great again shit hat, and he was like, all FPS games suck. Play my new game. Splitgate 2 or whatever. Is it actually good? Timestamps?
The Summer Game Fest 2025. The
Okay.
dark ritual in which Jeff Keighley summons all of the gaming gods to shower us with teasers, trailers, and sequels. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks 10, brand new games announced at Summer Game Fest 2025. At number 10, it is Code Vein 2. Hey, did you need more anime vampires in your life? If the
All right, game number 9.
Eyes of the Deceiver, I guess Wu-Tang was just like, and they made a lot of games that sound like Wu-Tang Clan, like Wolong and Wu-Chan, and why isn't there a Wu-Tang? I guarantee that's how this happened. I promise you, somebody in the Wu-Tang
Wait, what
Clan
is this?
was like, there's no reason for us not to release a game if they're gonna keep making games that sound like this. Anyway, Rise of the Deceiver is a fast-paced co-op
Is this a Wu-Tang
action
Clan?
RPG. It is not a Souls-like. Again, it's fast. It's not based in parries. The emphasis is expression, teamwork, and of course, drip. It's not often I get to say the word drip with a straight face as Falcon the Game Bird. I don't know. I love Wu-Tang Clan. Who doesn't love Wu-Tang Clan? If you know the Wu-Tang Clan, you probably love the Wu-Tang. Why wouldn't you want to at least try it? I mean...
Wait, the Wu-Tang Clan made a game? Or did they sell the rights? Did they like license their likeness to someone who was making a game that wanted to make it about them? I don't know. But it's probably the second one, but okay. Atomic Heart 2
got announced. Yup, Atomic Heart 2. I actually really like Atomic Heart. Some of the stuff that people think is cringe about it, I like in a kind of semi-ironic, but not really actually ironic way. It's a fun game. It's a little cringe in a weirdly charming way, at least to me. I'm happy they're doubling down on all of that.
What kind of a game is Atomic Heart? I've never... It looks really... Like the graphics and stuff, the art, the aesthetic looks really sick, but like what is
that
the...
nonsense? Obviously, Atomic Heart 2 is expanding on the stuff from the first. You got the cyborg glove stuff. You got weapons, melee, ranged, etc. I'm just psyched that they're making a sequel.
What is it? Soviet Bioshock? It's Bioshock, but I mean, so Bioshock had like really good gameplay though. Is that?
I mean, that's basically the level of like things that you would hear in Atomic Heart, and that's why I enjoy it. And number 7, also from Mundfish, The Cube. Now, when you think of the Atomic Heart universe, you assume Atomic Heart and now Atomic Heart 2, but we're also getting The Cube, which is a multiplayer RPG shooter that takes place in the Atomic Heart universe. In The Cube, players embark on expeditions to explore the enigmatic structure, The Cube. A big cube, big levitating cube. You got rotating walls, shifting terrains, unpredictable combat scenarios. Basically, it's an MMORPG shooter with roguelite mechanics wrapped in a psychedelic Soviet fever dream.
Wait, say that again?
Scenarios. Basically, it's an MMORPG
Okay, I'm in.
shooter with
roguelike elements. I'm in.
Mechanics wrapped in a psychedelic Soviet fever dream. Mundfish owes me money for their marketing.
That sounds sick.
And number 6 is Scott Pilgrim EX, which is, let's just be completely clear, a new Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up. The original Scott
skip all that.
Voyagers. I don't know if you're aware of Lego Builder's Journey, which is
You know
a little
what?
bit more contemporary.
Maybe I'm totally wrong with this. Maybe this is a huge L for me, but miss me with all Lego games. Moving on.
And number 4 is Infinitesimals. Just when you thought the tiny protagonist in a big world trope had been fully exploited, Qubit Studios says, hold my beer. This is a third-person sci-fi action-adventure game where you're an alien that has crash-landed, not on Earth necessarily, but you're an insect-sized alien. You're the captain of a squadron of spacefaring, I don't know, dudes, I don't know. But you're tiny, you're on an alien world, or maybe you're on our world, I don't know. Maybe it's a different time. I really don't know yet. It looks cool.
Yeah, this looks sick.
Cool, though. Like, don't tell me this doesn't look cool.
This looks insane.
Obviously, the environment's the big thing here. What I like about this is that it looks kind of like it's using that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids aesthetic just enough so that you think of it. Infinitesimals is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC next year.
Next year? Oh, dude, this looks sick. I play this right now.
And number 3 is End of the Abyss. Just when you thought your nightmares were safe. Just when you thought the indie developers were going to finally leave you alone. You could be safe. Just when you thought the Little Nightmares developers were going to leave you alone. Just when you thought they couldn't have possibly any more projects on the horizon. They're a small company. They can't possibly do more, right? An offshoot of former Little Nightmares developers called Section 9 Interactive comes with End of the Abyss. Haha. It's a top-down sci-fi horror adventure game where you play as Cell, a young combat technician investigating a facility that's got kind of a Dead Space vibe to it. Kind of an exploration, kind of a survival thing. Branching paths, hidden areas, gear upgrades, tense combat.
I'm over it.
Maybe a little bit limited and flawed in certain
Mortal
ways.
Shell
It's still
2.
really good in a lot of other
Oh,
ways.
I see.
I don't know. It was one of those sort of quirky Souls-likes. It had some weird tinges to it that weren't quite what you'd expect, and I like that it's getting a sequel quite a bit. You got 60 new dungeons.
What is Mortal Shell? Well, I mean, is it just a Souls-like? Is that what you think?
The shell system is returning. I don't know exactly what they're going to do to modify the combat, if anything. I would assume something. But there is also going to be a beta.
Yeah, was
You can
Lies of
sign up
P
for it
good?
soon if you'd like. I have. You could do so too as well at mortalshell.com. And finally, at number 1, it's Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th mainline Resident Evil game.
I've never played any Resident Evil game, I don't think.
We don't really know a whole lot about what this is, but we do know it takes place in a post-nuclear disaster Raccoon
Have you played
City, which
Hades?
is
Bro, Hades is probably the most celebrated roguelike. Or it's certainly the most, like, awarded, maybe prestigious roguelike, Hades. And it is maybe one of the only roguelikes I've ever played that I have tried multiple times and cannot play it. I'm just not into it. I don't understand that at all. I love roguelikes. Can't play Hades.
You are an FBI agent named Grace Ashcroft. It looks very much like it is continuing in the footsteps of the Resident Evil 2 remake. The first-person Resident Evil stuff, it was great. I am happy they're moving in that direction. We don't have any specific release date information, but it's coming. It looks very, very cool, too. I do have some bonus stuff.
This doesn't even have the shit. Guys, where's this ill game? Ill official trailer. Okay. Bro, is this a spooky game? Team Cloud. Bro, I don't like spooky games. I'm not trying to be spooky. Okay. This is on a Sunday too, the day of our Lord. Maybe I should try Hades again. I just don't understand how I can't get into it. And it's like the best. Is it just like a normie roguelike? Is that why it's good? Cool trailer. Okay, yeah, get out of here with the undead babies and shit, bro. You should watch the Mewgenics trailer. Yeah. This looks more my vibe.
Edmund McMillan of The Binding of Isaac. This year's Tyler Glao.
Yeah.
We're coming to you from Santa Cruz, California.
Hometown.
Number 1, this is not a wig.
Yeah.
Number 2, we got a game coming out soon.
Yeah.
Here's the trailer.
Yeah. What seems to be going on with the little guy?
Yeah, I think my cat's sick. Yeah, he's got a broken neck. He has horrible IBS. His mouth and one of his ears are missing. His soul was removed by a Kondarian demon.
What was that last
He's
one?
taken a shotgun to the face a couple times.
What?
He's got rabies, I'm pretty sure, and he's made a deal with the devil. He was stabbed repeatedly in the neck, chest, face, and hair. He's incredibly dehydrated. He has depression. Who doesn't nowadays, right? He appears to have a conjoined twin. I don't really. He has a gambling addiction. He was probed by aliens. He was mauled by a large headless beast. His tail appears to be growing ahead. He has ADHD. He got into a fight with a dog.
Mewgenics, coming to Steam February 10th.
Max, go back to ill. You missed the best part. Nah, I'm over it. You're good. Okay. Okay, cool. Cool. I mean, why not, right? Clockwork Revolution. You said that was more my vibe, bro. I hope you were being ironic.
The glittering streets of Avalon sure do shine, because they sweep their filth down to us.
Get your paper in! Who's for a paper?
Here's to playing in the mud. Life here ain't for the soft-hearted.
You will be paying me back until you fucking rust.
It ain't for the spineless.
Keep your filthy pickers off me!
And it sure as shite ain't for the decent.
The pissed off doll.
There has been a crime! Justice itself has been affronted! I have been burgled!
Lord Griswick.
Burgled!
Yes,
Yeah, this does feel very
I got
Bioshock
your
Infinite.
part. Do you know anyone who might wish you ill? We can't arrest and question everyone. Let's see if we can narrow the suspects down a bit.
They were,
Trust your instincts, sir.
tall,
Yes, sir.
built rather slim, well, muscular. Mm-hmm. Was very quick, agile,
Go on.
with a mustache. No, larger.
I see.
Quite fashionable. That's the fiend who robbed me.
They got my good side this time. Breaking in is the easy part.
Oh, this looks cool.
Your brandy, sir.
Getting away with it is the real trick.
These candlesticks ain't gold. Worthless and dull, just like you. Nah, I have a customer. How can I help you?
I'd rather talk to you, Errol. Sounds like I'll get a better deal.
You talk to me first, and him never. Got it?
Uncle's a bit touchy, ain't he, Errol?
Touchy? I say I'm touchy!
Oh,
There. Anything else you'd care to say to Errol?
what the fuck?
Brains. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it.
Round here, it's all sharp edges, empty pocket.
Yeah, I mean, the style's sick, but like, what are we even talking? Like, what are we even doing here in the game? Is it a dialogue game? I'm over that shit. Actually, I can never say I'm quite over that shit since Detroit Become Human was one of the most fun streams of all time. Did they make another game, by the way? Did that company ever make like another Detroit Become Human? Because that shit owned. That shit like hard owned. Past or future? No, like since then.
Let's go and end a few arguments.
Has Max watched the Expanse game trailer? No, I can watch that now though because I'm over this. Is it titled that? God, The Expanse is such an interesting TV show. It's just like peak mid acting, like kind of the whole way. But it's like it's in this weird in between. Like The Expanse is in this weird in between spot where like you have so like very low effort TV that's like has a bunch of episodes. So I'm thinking like Law and Order or like CSI or Criminal Minds. These are all like cop dramas, I guess. But like you get the point, right? They're pretty low effort. They're formula shows. They're not like Game of Thrones, and they're not trying to be, right? And then there's Game of Thrones. There's Severance. There's Westworld. There's a million examples of like top Last of Us, you know, a lot of HBO stuff, a lot of FX stuff, prestige TV, right? But The Abyss is so interestingly in the middle of that. Like it's not formulaic stuff, but it's like such infinitely lower quality than like a lot of prestige TV. And there's not a lot of shows like that nowadays. I mean, I guess it's not nowadays. It's been over for a while, but it's so it's like in its own lane. It's pretty good. I mean, I watched The Expanse. The craziest thing about The Expanse is not the craziest thing. The thing that was crazy to me, the main guy actor, I forget his name, but like I feel like he got some awful acting advice in between seasons. In season 1, he's great, and then past season 3 and onwards, he's chilling. But in season 2, it's unwatchably bad if you go back, and it's so different. Like he's like trying to be super stoic, and like he's trying to serve face in every scene, and it totally fucking misses. Maybe it's the way it was edited, but like someone did him dirty. Like someone gave him bad acting coaching, or they edited him poorly. But it was so noticeably worse. Go back and watch it. You can see it.
Zafar, pull up Navtech.
Just a sec. Got it.
Taki, we gonna find out about your Kopang right quick, okay?
Just want to do him justice. Stuck his neck out for us. Least we can do is get him out alive.
We've got big enough guns to make justice, all right?
Oh, Michael. To a man with a hammer, just about everything looks like a nail.
Aim for show. Time to say oh yeah with our hammer.
Missile range in 1 minute.
Brace yourselves. We're going for a spin.
Okay. Yo, side note. So this is a human, right? I think there were only humans, right, in the Expanse universe, as far as like, you know, like people you'd meet. There was some like alien technology and shit, but not like, you get the point. This is human. This is not someone with 3 eyes. What's the point of this helmet? Where are they seeing out of? Why are there 3 lights? Night vision? Well, night vision, it usually like comes over the but like look, like where could their eyes be seeing out of this thing? It's like it's cameras. Inside of the thing is a HUD. Okay, no, I'm with you. I'm there. Okay. Guess it didn't work too well, buddy. You're dead.
Zafar, did you get a signal?
After the large haul down this corridor, they shut down this part of the facility. Long time before our arrival.
Fine. Let's deal with those guys first.
Oh, that was sick. I want to throw a grenade like that. Oh, Inya Loda. That's they used to say that when oh man, what was the language? The people who grew up on that meteor and they spoke like some weird ass version of English. What was it called? Belter. Yeah, the Belters, bro. That's some Belter nonsense right there. I love that this is like 2500 or whatever and she's still using a Glock. Yeah, bro, the Glock is a perfect weapon. I have a Glock. Y'all think I'm strapped up? This game's gonna be good. I mean, what are you basing that off of, though, right? Does it show you some gameplay at the end? Like, this is all basically one cool cutscene. But, like, I don't know. The Expanse universe isn't interesting enough to just alone make a game sick. Like, you would need to have some sick gameplay with it. What's that gonna be? Show us the blicky.
What the hell happened here?
Hey, buddy.
Oh yeah, he's got that blue shit on him. Oh yeah, that part of the Expanse was pretty good. That guy's daughter.
Glad you're still breathing.
Okay, gameplay. Wait, back up.
Glad you're still breathing.
Bro, that guy. Is this one of those things where, like, they show... Have you guys seen those mobile game ads where they have you're like a guy shooting and you can choose which direction to go and you can either get more troops or get a better weapon, and they intentionally show the person playing it bad, and it's a marketing tactic to make you want to get it and play it better? Bro, look at this guy's aim right here. Right here, right after this clip. I'm not even going to slow it down. Look at the shot. Bro, he does it. Bro, he's trash. He's actually trash, though. 1 second, I'm turning the playback speed down. We're watching this shit slow motion. This guy's using a controller for sure right here. Check this out. Check this out. Just fucking full auto. Just full auto completely off of him. All good. Anyways, back to the video. Osiris Reborn. So who are the characters in the show, or have they completely like recast them? Yeah, it doesn't look like they're using the likeness of the people with the show. So what, they probably got the... Did they get the likeness and the licensing, do you think, from the book? So they don't have the... Or maybe they just didn't... Maybe they didn't want to do... It's an original story? Different story, same time period as the first book. Oh, that's cool. I could be down with that, maybe. The Expanse was good. It was like 7 out of 10. It's like pretty alright. But also, I feel like The Expanse, the actual story that The Expanse is based on and like what they had to work with was a lot. Basically, my take is I wish like HBO got The Expanse instead of... Was it Prime who had it? I think Prime bought it from someone, if I remember correctly, because I remember there was like a big production quality difference between seasons. Basically, I just wish... It's one of those shows where it was a 7 out of 10, but if like HBO got it, it would have been, or Apple TV, it would have been like a 9 or a 10. Because they just spend just infinitely more money. What the fuck? Why do I have my girlfriend's phone? I have your phone. Dude, how does that even happen, man? How does that even happen? Is this a fake WoW streamer? I mean, yeah, there's nothing to stream about in WoW right now. Although the 11.2 announcement should be pretty soon, right? I think. Don't they normally announce the new major patch before the 0.7 comes out? Haha, leaked? You would know? I don't know. I do not. I do not know the answer to that. I thought you know. I don't. I don't know when it is. I don't. I wouldn't be like fake asking. Like there's a difference between me knowing and not saying anything. It's usually when you guys ask a question. Do you know how insane it would be for me to know when something is coming out and then ask you guys? That would be fucking insane. I don't know. So maybe if I don't know, and I usually do find out, it would that would tell you that it's maybe longer away. So I guess the answer is it's after. They're gonna announce it after 11.1.7 because. Wait, hasn't there been some major patches that haven't been announced until like less than a month before they came out? That's true, because I remember being very stressed out about that exact reason. And what all is in Shadowlands? Yeah, all signs right now are what, it's in August or something like that, September maybe. I don't know. If it's in August, we're definitely going to start raid testing in the next couple weeks. But aren't there like 2 announcements though? Aren't there? Isn't there an announcement for this is what 11.2 contains, and then there's a later announcement that is this is when 11.2 is coming out? Like the release date and the content announcement are separate usually. So when I'm saying like when is 11.2, I'm not saying like when is it coming out. I'm saying like when are we going to find out what's in it, kind of. That's what I mean. And it's like we're pretty far away from me ever learning a release date. All right. Any other games? That's it? Dude, wasn't there a good WoW video recently that kind of popped off? It was like, somebody did like a, so you want to join a Mythic guild. I think someone did that bit again. Oh, same guy did it? Is it worth it? Shindig. So you want a trial with a Mythic raiding guild. Wait, no. He made one 9 months ago. And I got like a few minutes into it and then I quit. Fuck. Oh, so like the dude's the 3rd ranked rogue in the world right now. At what? At being a rogue. Oh shit. Do they have like the Olympics? That'd be sick. Okay. So he says, so you want to join a Mythic raiding guild. Maybe he recaps that in his new video.
Yo, it's been a while. This will be a follow-up to a previous video I made, where after applying to more than 20 different Mythic raid guilds and getting...
Wait, where did he apply? Where did he apply?
I made, where after applying to more than...
So these were their world ranks, and these are the guilds he applied to. Dude, I recognize some of these, Wait, these are their US rankings, right? Not world rankings. Yeah, makes sense. Dr. Atnos Guild. Yeah, he applied to Dr. Atnos' guild. How many of these guilds have you personally killed? Bro, these guilds are alive. All of these guilds are alive. Also, I don't think I've taken a player from any of these guilds in these 2 rows. I don't think we've taken a player from Humble. I think we might have one from XD. I don't remember, though. We have a bunch of players from Vodka. Bunch of players from Instant Dollars. I don't... Have we ever recruited someone from Pop-Tart Corn Dog? Why didn't he apply to Liquid? That's a good question. That's a good question. Does he maybe he doesn't respect us?
20 different Mythic raid guilds and getting rejected by nearly all of them, I was able to join...
Or maybe he probably doesn't, or he's smart enough to know that we don't look at apps.
...the guild tab target. And, well, that video blew up, but the response to it was split. Half the comments were people that expressed their support, of which I'm thankful, and the other half were people that thought I was in way over my head. And this...
Trying to get into a top 100 Mythic guild with your level of experience was brave. This was perfection. Signing up with these logs and background and ratings. Signing up to top 10. Thanks, dude. This was great. I mean, you might as well shoot your shot, though. Like, it's a fucking application, you know? Also, I don't think a lot of guilds do this, but I know we were a top, like, 3 US guild, and we had a phase where me as a guild leader, I'm just like, let's do a trial and error. We went through a trial and error phase for like 6 months. It was a fucking disaster. What I mean by that is we recruited basically anyone with promise from any guild. Like, if they had sick logs, obviously as a bare minimum, we would just recruit. Usually you need much more than that to get into this guild. But we just recruited anyone with sick logs, and we were like, hey, we know at the least they have the bare minimum of what it could potentially take to be as good as you need to be to do this. And if they don't, we can just fail their trial in 3 weeks. We lose nothing, but potentially gain a diamond in the rough. Let's call it a diamond in the rough phase, right? This was terrible. We had a bunch of stinkers in our guild. Our own players were becoming very frustrated in farm. That was the thing I underestimated, is like the toll it would take on all of our players. I mean, I was even raiding at the time. Like, the toll it would take on us to just raid with stinkers every week that slowed down your farm runs. That was by far the worst part of this and why it could not continue. But the point is that I know that has happened with me. We have gone through that. So maybe another guild in the top 10 US, top 100 US, as these people are criticizing him for, maybe they are in a phase where they're willing to, like, take someone with good logs, you know? I don't think there's any issue in applying. Like, your experience will speak to itself. You don't have to lie. And if they want to take a chance on you, they will, you know?
This idea stemmed from my lack of Mythic.
How many diamonds did you find? That phase was a complete disaster. We found zero players recruiting people with perfect logs and assuming they could like 1 out of 10 would maybe be good enough to do this, and literally none of them. It's
experience,
which is what you'd probably expect. There's a reason you don't do that. But that was a big mistake on my part. That made a lot of people mad.
It's fair. One of the things I figured is that for the level I'm shooting for, applying to these top 100 NA guilds, if any guild were to recruit me, they would be taking a chance, because I haven't really proven myself as being able to perform at that level.
True.
So even though I was accepted into Tab Target, they were not an exception. And
Wait, who is Tab Target? I gotta go back to his thing. We're at 52 seconds here.
Where, after applying to more than...
So he got into a US 112 ranked guild. All right, W.
I basically had to prove to them I was worth keeping around. So in this video, I'm going to catch you up on everything that's happened so far. I jump in the guild Discord to have an interview with Tab Target's GM and officers. The interview largely consists of them talking about how the guild is run, their expectations of new members, asking me basic questions like whether I can make raid times, so on and so forth. Afterwards, they spend some time going through my logs, talking about some things they thought I did well, and some things they thought I did poorly. After the interview, they said they'd get back to me in like 15 minutes.
That's pretty concise. They go in for an interview, they talk to you, they actually go through your logs and ask you questions. Hopefully they're not like, hey, so you died a lot on this boss. Why is that? Actually, I mean, that might not be a bad question. Like maybe there's a specific reason. Like if you died a lot to a specific mechanic, or if you had 0 deaths to a mechanic, it'd be interesting to analyze like why you think that is. Like a bunch of people died to this mechanic in progression, especially melee. You had 0 deaths, and then maybe you could be like, well, I like moved my camera in this way and I thought it helped a lot. That would actually be a really good question. But yeah, I don't know. But the fact that they did that little interview thing, which again, interviews are, I think, mostly a waste of time. But then instead of like getting back to him days later, they're going to have that conversation right then and there and get back to you in 15 minutes. That's a W for me. W Tab Target.
That was a lie. It took more like an hour.
L Tab Target. they're fucking liars.
Worth it, as they decided to offer me a trial. Now, before we get too deep into things, we need to understand what it means to be a trial. For starters, you are at the bottom of the raid hierarchy. Often this comes with specific restrictions.
Bro, this is not how it... Okay, hierarchy in what? The social dynamic of the group? As far as, like... Unless your guild is stupid, and there probably are a lot of stupid guilds, this... In a progression tier, which I assume has occurred in the last 9 months since he got accepted... This should not matter. It shouldn't matter in raid time, most likely, although possible. If you're like, if there's 3 hunters and you're the new one, the other 2 have been in the guild for a long time, and it's not obvious you're way better than them because it's unlikely you've had a chance to prove that. Right? You're getting loot. If you're in the raid and performing, I think the fact that your trial is irrelevant for loot, unless your guild is stupid. Right? Because, like, if you're not playing them, obviously you shouldn't give them loot. And if you're not playing them because they're a trial, but that would be also true of a member. I'm just saying the fact that they're a trial shouldn't matter in that aspect. This must be, like, social construct.
Bottom of the raid hierarchy.
Yeah, explain that.
Often this comes with specific restrictions. Things like being lower priority on loot, not being the first option for a raid spot, not receiving a cut from guild sales.
Oh, guild sales. I wasn't thinking about that. I haven't thought about how other guilds do sales, because ours is like so... Dude, our sales are so cooked. Like, basically, we never get cuts for sales, even though I'm pretty sure we've made like $1 billion gold this farm period so far. But we don't... But because we have to save that gold to spend probably $1 billion gold on the next Race to World First to get people in our splits, right? So, like, other guilds don't have to do that, right? Like, what it costs for them to raid is significantly less, so the gold just goes right back to the raiders.
Things of that sort. But, biggest of all, as a trial, there isn't this sense of permanence. Trialing players, myself included, aren't certain they'll have a raid spot 1, 2, 6 months down the line. But that's speaking generally. With Tab Target as a trial, I was granted all the same privileges as a regular raider.
W Tab Target.
With the following exceptions.
Oh, well.
For the first week I was in the guild, I would not receive a cut of guild sales.
That's fair. Only 1 week? That's chill. That's like so chill, actually. But also, like, is 1 week really enough to fail someone's trial? Actually, I think it is. Like, okay, how long it takes for a trial for you to realize that they're like going to be a consistent, reliable, functioning member of your guild, that will take longer than a week. However, I would say it probably doesn't take longer than 1 week to tell if someone is... You can't tell in 1 week if someone is definitely good enough, but you can definitely tell if they're not good enough. Like, if someone is not at the level of your guild, and they've, like, done the same bosses that you've done before, like, they're not seeing these bosses for the first time... Bro, someone who doesn't meet like the average skill parity you're looking for, those people stick out crazy. Like it's so obvious that they're there, and also it gives you a week to see if they're a total fucking weirdo. But I've noticed that like a lot of, maybe it's the smart weirdos, and we have a lot of them in our guild. They're just simply gonna hide it in 1 week. Like you have full trial phase, bro. THD. This little goblin, this absolute weirdo, he did not make a fucking peep, and sang for 6 months. 6 months. They are the weirdest people I've ever seen. Ever. And they didn't fucking do anything out of the ordinary. Like, bro, they can completely mask that shit.
And that was it. There was some discussion of loot being proud to players that would be in for progression, however that didn't exclude trials. So, if leadership were to decide they wanted to bring in some trial for a specific fight, they would try to gear that player accordingly. That sounded fine to me, and so my trial began. With 2 conditions.
This guy's a good YouTuber. That's a fucking... This is a absolute masterpiece fucking edit right here.
They would try to gear that player accordingly.
This is sick.
That sounded fine to me, and so my trial began. With 2 conditions.
Dude, I usually am not a fan of that style of editing at all. Like, I find it really corny, but that was fucking sick. That was actually so funny.
First was that my trial would last until we reached a mid-tier progression boss in the War Within, at which point I assumed I would either pass or fail my trial. The second condition was that my trial would be split into 2 parts, 40% performance and 60% social, where performance...
What does that even mean?
2 parts.
Like, I mean, if you're ever going to have the discussion as officers of like, okay, so this person's trial is up. Are we passing them or not? Let's do a vote or let's talk about it or whatever. Are you going to bring up the fact that like, well, we did tell him that the trial would be mostly social. So even though he's been, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would never even bring this up again. Like, what does this graph even fucking mean? It's like totally, it's so hard to distinguish these 2 things, right? I mean, basically what I think... Why this person was told this is they're basically saying, hey, we would much rather you not be an asshole than be the best player ever. And this is just a way to communicate that. But as far as like what their trial will be based on is this is nonsense. That's not
social. Where performance refers to my ability to press my buttons and not die to mechanics. And social refers to...
So listen for 5 more seconds and he's explaining this. Yeah, here you go. 1 second. I'm going to do that this whole video. I'm going to do that. So you're going to want to leave if that's bothering you for sure.
My ability to fit in. So, as much as I had to show I was capable of rating at a top 100 US level, it was just as, if not more important, I got along well with my new guildmates. Now, when I accepted my trial, we were nearing the end of Season 4 and Fated Amirdrasil was fully on farm. Because of this, the performance part of things wasn't very impactful. As long as I wasn't regularly wiping the raid...
Who the fuck is this? Is that him? Doesn't look like him.
The performance part of my trial wouldn't...
Oh, is this the 4 Horsemen thing?
...kick in until the new raid in the War Within. So, immediately after joining, I tried making progress with the social. Let me make something clear. I can record videos and stream no problem. But when I'm placed in a Discord call with 10 people I don't know, I'm not very social.
Yeah, of course. Right? I feel like a very small percentage of people in a group of 10 people that you do not know are you like popping off on voice comms. You know? Like, hopefully one of those people like tries to include you and like ask you some questions so you can start being there, but like just coming out the gate fucking firing, like such an extremely small amount of people are confident and outgoing enough to actually do that.
So early on,
I also don't even think that's a good thing. Like low key, if I'm in a group with 9 other people that I know and some new person comes in that none of us have ever played with before, and they're just nonstop yapping, that's like not reading the room, I think. Like that's bad vibes. No matter what, even if they're like funny.
Call
bad
with
vibes.
10 people I don't know, I'm not very social. So early on, while I would try to spend as much time as I could in the guild Discord, I kinda just lurked. Now,
Totally
I should
normal.
preface this by saying the prospect of joining a new guild isn't a new thing. I joined several different guilds back when I played Classic, so I've gone through the process of
This guy remembers
not
all his
really
guilds?
knowing people to, over time, growing more comfortable and feeling like a part of that community. However, something unique to this guild, and what really smoothed out this process for me, was the guild's reception to me joining. It was so overwhelmingly positive.
Dude,
There were several people from the guild I had never spoken to before. Reach out to and DM me
W
individually
tab target.
about all kinds of things. They showed a genuine interest in me as a person, and this had a huge impact on me. I had left my previous guild and a lot of my really good friends behind to try and pursue my interest of playing a more competitive version of raiding. And even
that is an interesting dynamic. I wonder what kind of real life alternatives exist where you choose to leave a guild and join a new one, and that initial feeling of not knowing everyone, but also feeling like you left other people behind. Like maybe joining a job, like leaving a job and joining a new one, kind of. But this is so much more of a passion-based thing where everyone's doing this for fun, so the vibe is totally different than job, right? Probably be like a professional sports player getting traded to a different team, I think. But that's like extremely unrelatable.
Even though I made the decision I did, I had my doubts. So Tab Target welcoming me in the way they did made me feel a lot more comfortable and
W
at
tab
ease.
target.
Now, I'll return to the social part of things a bit later, but I want to talk about some stuff that stood out after my first few weeks in the guild, of which there were 3 notable things. Firstly, I did not realize how bad my computer's performance was until I joined Tab Target. Specifically, failing to have the game run smoothly in a raid environment.
Wait, so that's interesting. So was he not raiding before? Like, okay, all of us know the feeling of like, holy shit, this 30-man raid is totally tanking my computer right now. Wasn't he a classic player before? Oh. Totally get it.
My first few raids with Tab were during Fated Emirdrasil, and I would have some atrocious FPS issues that I did not know how to address. And at first, I was nervous to bring it up, thinking if they found out I was having these problems, they might look for someone else. But eventually I realized and came to terms with the fact that if I wanted to play at this level, this was something I had to address. And
did you get that X3D chip? Dude, I still don't have one of those. I need one so bad.
So I brought it up. Well, turns out I got kicked.
What?
Brought it up. Well, turns out I got kicked. I'm kidding. That would be crazy.
Whew. I got.
Anticlimactic, and I
got
definitely would
fucking
not
got.
have made the video in that case.
God damn.
Instead, an immense amount
I was about to go on a monologue.
of computer literacy was shoved down my throat, which makes sense. Most of the people in Tab Target have been playing for many years at a high level, and have accumulated an exhaustive list of ways to improve performance. And this information would turn out to make a world of difference. I'll avoid going into too much detail as it's not that interesting, but I would see an immediate increase in raid FPS and less frequent stuttering. Secondly, I had never seen a more detailed rating spreadsheet until I saw what this guild used. For example, during their Fyrak prog, every player's offensive and defensive cooldowns were mapped out at specific timings. Seeing that really opened my eyes to the levels of preparation they put in.
Dude, that's crazy. We don't even do that. Like, well, defensive, like raid defensives, yeah. You know, actually, wait. This is probably difference in like video guilds. So like when you are doing what we are doing and you're copying things, the people who go the extra level will like turbo copy every single thing that everyone does, because you don't want to like do it halfway and then realize that someone actually holds their CDs here and that makes the whole thing work. You need to actually do it all. Dorky said my past 3 guilds did this. I mean, we have no, like, offensive cooldown use is something that is talked about as a group, and when people change things, you bring it up, and we talk about moving some CDs whenever it's relevant. But like on a fight-by-fight basis, a lot of that stuff is just done natty. And I know that like Bubba sometimes will like talk about stuff like that, but the thing, it's never like we don't have it listed out anywhere. I think this is purely like a THD said, mate, I would never look at this, I'd laugh. Yeah, it seems. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would find it very relevant, basically. I think it's just a video guild thing, which makes sense, which is almost every guild.
And by extension, what would be expected of us for progression. Thirdly, and the last point, is that there were a lot of trials. I think at the time I joined, there were maybe 6 other trialing players, and that number would climb up to around 10 as we neared the expansion release date.
Video guild? What is that? It's a guild that is killing a raid boss by walking up to the raid boss, and before you pull it, you are watching a video of someone else killing it. That is what a video guild means. So, like, literally every guild in the world sometimes, besides us and Echo.
And this is with there already being, like, 20 rostered raiders. When I saw this, it was disheartening. I mean, you can only bring 20 people to a Mythic raid, so if there's 10 plus trials competing for seemingly 0 raid spots, it doesn't look promising. But I get it. I think it's analogous to how airlines
just making up terms 2025. We use that term all the time.
Book flights to maximize profit. The assumption being
not in like a
made is
derogatory
that
way, it's just
when
like a
fully booked, some
separating
number of
thing. It changes the way you approach problems.
Won't show up. And if the airline doesn't fill those remaining seats, they miss out on the potential earnings they could have made had they filled them with paying customers. So, by overbooking, they can, at least partially, fill those remaining seats.
We did that. I'm just telling you, it's again probably a difference in the kind of guild you are thing, but we did the like have a bunch of trials, and it was just the worst. It was the worst time in this guild ever. But I think a lot of guilds need to do this because you have to fill 20 raid spots, and you have a lot of turnover. And yeah, I get it.
The downside, however, is if every paying customer shows up, there aren't enough seats available. By analogy, heading into a new raid tier, and especially a new expansion, it's probably normal for guilds to balloon their roster size to 30-something players, even though Mythic Raid only allows 20. This grants the guild the ability to achieve their goal of progressing the raid by replacing people that don't show up, dropping underperforming players, or whatever the reason may be. And it's at the expense of those that the guild deems are the least helpful to that end. So in this case, the airline is the guild, their profit is raid progress, all first and business class seats are filled by the officers and core raiders, where the trials are assigned to the overbooked economy class. And guaranteeing your seat
That's a good analogy.
on this airline is determined by your ability to skillfully execute your role as a passenger. You better pay attention to the pre-flight safety briefing, and you need to get along with the other passengers. So, with that long-winded analogy, being one of the overbooked passengers doesn't feel great. However,
facts.
I resolved myself to doing whatever I could to prove I can be a...
Like, just think about it. Just this simple concept. Someone tells you, all right, we have raid tonight at 7. Cool. So you show up from 7 to 10. You schedule 3 hours of your life for you not to be doing anything else, but you end up not being in the raid. You know? Like, there's other people are like... They're like, okay, I'm gonna spend 3 hours tonight having fun, and then like 20% of your 30% of your guild gets to just be like, I'm separating out 3 hours of my time today to do nothing.
Valuable member on the team. The reason I'm
Sucks.
here in the first place was because I wanted to join a more competitive raid team, and here I am with an opportunity to see that through, regardless of how unlikely it may seem to be. One of the questions asked during my onboarding interview was whether or not I had bought early access for The War Within. Well, I didn't, and as it would turn out, I was literally the only person in the guild that didn't purchase early access. This was a little concerning, and I was a bit late to the leveling party, but since dungeon and raid content was time gated, thankfully it ended up not being a big deal.
Yeah, it didn't matter at all for... I don't even... Would it have mattered as a world first raider to not have early access? I don't think so. Like, it wouldn't have affected your performance in the raid. Maybe, okay, you get more time to level characters. No, rep didn't matter, yeah. It was, one extra coffer things. Is this in hindsight? No, I remember saying this at the time. Even before it came out. But also, I still think the early access shit is shitty business practice. Like, I think it's really scummy. Because it's not like you can get early access to the game. The game comes out when it is possible to play it, and you're getting late access if you don't pay for it. And that's just dog shit.
Once I got access and hit level cap, the best way to acquire gear was to spam heroic dungeons to hit the weekly weathered crest cap. Exchange those crests for enchanted weathered crests, and then craft 590 eye level gear. Also, heroic dungeons were pretty quick. After a few hours of dungeoning...
This guy raids an idiot now. Yeah, we'll get to that in the video. Rank 4 in the Mythic Plus ladder. Dude, I was about to say some Dobby shit, but it's actually true. Like, I feel like it's easier to get high up ranking in a non-meta class ladder in Mythic Plus because a decent amount of the really, really good rogues are going to just multi-class to something that's better for this season. So it's possible he would be farther down the list if it was a more wanted to be played class, you know, because you also don't have people multi-classing to your class. None of this matters. He's probably great, you know, but
you would hit weathered crest cap for the week. And outside of that,
I think the literal exact proof of this, if you needed any, is the fact that JPC is playing a Death Knight right now.
I mean, you could grind renown, but that level of effort was not required. Although a bunch of people did still do it, myself included. Furthermore, at the time, tab target did not require raid ready ults. So once I got my crests, I was basically done for the week. This meant these first few weeks were very low stress, and I would describe it as an explore and discover time in WoW. And this low stakes environment, while everyone is excited about the game, really lent itself to me further meshing with the guild. With the first week of Season 1, we got access to Mythic Zeros, Tier 8 Delves, and Normal and Heroic Raid. I was nervous as this would be my first time progressing unfamiliar raid content with...
Knowing that you guys have said that he's joined like a higher ranked guild, I'm interested to hear his reasoning behind that, because that's totally normal. Like, if he's making his entire like bit seems to be like he wants to progress to a higher level. I mean, I don't know if he told that to this guild when he first joined, but like clearly he's looking to jump to a higher level guild as soon as possible because that more aligns with his goals. And it sounds like he did that, but I'm just interested to hear how that transition went.
My new guild. It's been almost 2 months since I joined as a trial, and this is where the performance part of my trial really kicks off. One big concern I had at the time, since I played a rogue, was that I had no idea what the meta spec for raid was supposed to be. Sure, it's one thing to look at how well a spec sims, but that doesn't paint the entire picture.
Yeah.
For example, this tier, Outlaw Rogue sims way higher than the other rogue specs. And yet, it didn't see a lot of play among the top progressing guilds. Now, there are probably a few reasons for this, but one reason for sure has to do with its very flat damage profile. Outlaw needs 100% uptime to realize its sim potential. If there's ever any forced downtime during a boss fight, or if there are damage amps, usually Outlaw falls behind other cooldown based specs like Assassination and Subtlety. As it would so happen, both the second and final bosses this tier have at least one of these properties. So even if Outlaw is the highest simming spec, that doesn't imply it will be
Did you
used
play
for
sub in Nerebar Palace?
Tying back to my situation, as a part of my performance trial, I thought it was important to show I was capable of playing any of the rogue specializations. But I was also under the impression going into the tier, there would be a clear favorite, and I would just prepare that one spec. Now, to be fair, I probably could have just done that. The nice thing in retail WoW I've learned is that, outside of race to world first guilds, you can raid with whatever spec you want.
Yep.
However, some specs will perform better than others. And since I was borderline obsessed with the idea that I needed to play the best performing spec, I thought the next best thing I could do was to prepare all of them. So for the first day of raid, heading into normal Nerebar Palace, I had 3 different gear sets, something like 6 different talent builds, of which I planned to play all of them.
Okay, that's the thing that is really fun to me though. Like that process, that's what I love about this game, and that's what I love about getting better at anything. Like the whole I need to make sure I'm completely prepared on all 3 of them, and setting up those builds and actually getting good at all 3 of them sounds so fun to me.
That did not go very well.
Bro is such a tryhard for it's comical for just a regular raider. I mean I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's different people have different motivations for playing this game. You might raid in a Mythic guild with someone who purely plays this game to collect things, to get mounts, to just have raid time, maybe to get gear. And then for some people, it's like, I want to be as good as I can be at the game. Unfortunately, a large amount of those people are completely insufferable. But it is also possible to be just like a totally normal person with that being your motivation and that being the reason you find the game fun. It's not weird.
I ended up playing sub for most fights, but I swapped to Assassination for Rashinan with the extended execute phase, and then Outlaw for Boot Twister with all the ads. Unfortunately on Rashinan, I forgot to apply my Deathstalker's mark on pull, so I played without my hero talents for half the fight, and then my Outlaw gear wasn't put together very well, and was also probably my least practiced of the 3 specs, so I don't
Outlaw's also just harder.
think I put out a lot of damage. However, since the raid was set to normal, my and everyone else's damage really didn't matter, as we rolled through the fights regardless.
No, this is normal.
What was more important was trying to soak up as much
This is
information
farming
as
gear
possible
before
about
Mythic.
the mechanics in the raid to immediately prepare for Heroic. We full cleared normal plus Heroic Ulgrax the first day, and came back the following day where I get my first real taste of progression. Heroic.
Yeah, but it's funny because he ain't even good. Bro, he just started playing the game. You know? Also, having this kind of mindset when you're not good is how you get good. Also, this isn't not super relevant, but almost everyone I've heard speak like you're speaking is not good at all.
Silken Court would take us 12 pulls.
Because most good players would just never randomly say that about someone. Yeah.
To get down. And then Heroic Queen
why?
Ansarek
What's
would take
what's
us
the
42
motivation?
pulls. This early prog was a lot of fun. But one thing I remember that was stressful at the time was the looming threat of trimming down our roster to guarantee a Heroic Ansarek kill. This was because, in Heroic Raid, you can bring anywhere from 10 to 30 players. To accommodate all the trialing players, our roster was well over 20. But in order to secure a kill on our final
I miss
night
playing
for the
Rogue.
week, it was communicated that underperforming
Random
players
thing I'm getting from this
would
video.
be sat if we hadn't yet killed Heroic
Specifically
Ansarek.
Assassination. I don't know why. I love Assassination. I significantly more than Outlaw or Sub for me. But dude, when Assassination is, I could play Assassination all
halfway
day.
through our raid. I was terrified to hear this.
It's kind of the only fun WoW spec I've ever played that involves any sort of pooling. I find the pooling aspect of Assassination interesting and fun, and the multi-dotting aspect. Multi-dotting Assassination for sure. Although I don't know if it's still like that, but I've always found keeping up Rupture and Garrote on multiple targets and doing that properly with energy management was really, really interesting.
Because at this point, I had no idea if I was considered one of these underperforming players. Thankfully, we would kill the boss before the halfway point. So whether or not I would have been sat was something I never came to realize. The following week, Mythic Raid and Mythic Plus would be released. I ended up deciding to play Subtlety for early progression.
Oh, and he's a popper.
And as a guild on the Tuesday, we would re-clear normal Ansorek, the full heroic raid, and head into Mythic for the first time. As I mentioned before, only 20 players can be brought for Mythic difficulty. This meant, with our oversized roster, a handful of players would be sat. The way Tab Target handles its roster is they'll announce a new roster for each boss. And generally, the idea for these earlier bosses...
Because we didn't expect to have time remaining after finishing Heroic, no roster for Mythic had been posted. But like, wait, on a normal raid it would be posted? Like, hey, we're doing these 3 bosses, and at the beginning of the day, here are comps for these 3 bosses? But that can change, right? Based on like who gets loot off of certain things, potentially. But posting the rosters doesn't, if I'm correct, doesn't really matter, because aren't you expected to just be around if you're not in the... Let's say you're in for 0 bosses. Which, side note, for a guild at this level, probably a mistake. Even if it's not the most 100% optimal thing, if I'm in a guild like this, I'm making sure everyone gets a kill in the first like 2 or 3 bosses if possible, just to make sure they feel involved, you know? Like that, you're managing guild politics and stuff like that at that level. You probably have to do some shit like that. But aren't you if you're expected to be around, what's the point of posting the comps early, you know?
Is to rotate new trialing players in and see how they perform. This was nerve-wracking because while I understood this, I wanted to be in. And luckily for me, my name was on the roster.
Yo!
We take down Ulbrex in 5 pulls, and the next day slam out Bloodbound Horror.
Brad.
Bloodbound was hard.
Group of 1.
Before then beginning progression on Sikran. Now, Sikran was the first noticeable hurdle we encountered.
Wait, is this guy in one of the guilds that... Is this guy in one of the guilds that killed Rashanan pretty early and was like on Brood Twister at the same time we were and just getting absolutely slaughtered? I kind of hope he was, because like I just want to see that perspective more, because I find that fascinating. That very rarely happens in WoW.
Mainly because of the charge mechanic. It took us a little bit to learn how to form a box without cleaving each other or mowing down existing images.
Dude, Sikran's actually a really good boss.
This mechanic
weak auras don't matter. It's just purely like use your brain, look at the people around you. Pretty easy area denial and rage kind of fight, easy to understand.
Myself included.
It wasn't hard, but like
but
it's a good boss.
Sikran would eventually go down, followed by Rashanan the next day.
Oh, yes.
And that would conclude our progression after 3 days of raid. We still had one final raid day to go, which we would spend on Brood Twister, and this would be a major wall for us, as it was for a lot of guilds. But before that, I want to talk a little more about our schedule. Tab Target is a 4-day raid guild for the first 4 weeks of progression, after which point we drop to a 3-day schedule. Additionally, now that Mythic Plus was available, the guild would host 2 optional key nights, where raiders and trials can come fill vault slots. Filling out our Mythic Plus.
Interesting. So guilds don't leave keys to like just do this on your own time. They separate times for people to be around with keys. Most do. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? It makes sense why you would offer this, because if you can at least have people be around on 2 of the 3 days remaining, then you'll know that like you can get this done faster, you know? But like obviously if you couldn't show up to this, you could do it before a raid. These people raid like 3 or 4 hours a night, right? Like you could literally cap your vault before a raid started on any of these days, right? So I wonder what his point's going to be here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be time investment.
Where raiders and trials can come fill vault slots. Filling out our Mythic Plus vault with at least 2 boxes was one of the expectations of players during progression. Having the guild host these optional key nights as a general thing, I thought was awesome. The groups were formed based on gear types so players can trade loot, and because these were full guild groups, the runs went much smoother and more quickly than the average LFG experience. But there's a problem. And it goes back to the emphasis Tab Target places on the social. It's encouraged that guild members attend these optional events. Now, I can't speak for every guild out there in the Mythic raid space, but a big part of being in Tab Target means taking on an active role within the community. So, although it wasn't the guild's intention, these optional key nights, as a trial, didn't really feel optional. This meant we were committing up to 6 days to the guild for the first 4 weeks of progression, which is a big ask, and certainly not for everyone. I know players that failed their trial in part due to their absence from these key nights. Now,
well,
for
if
me, it was
that could be because of two things. Like maybe it's like, well, they didn't show up to this thing you're supposed to show up to. But it also could be that if you're not showing up to the key nights, you're likely not putting in time at other points in the week to make sure. Like, I'd be surprised if like someone did as much Mythic Plus as they needed to be geared, but didn't show up to a minute of those key nights, and they still failed their trial because of that if they weren't bad. You know what I mean? I just bet it's probably also true that people that skip the key nights also usually don't put the work in required to make sure their character's good.
The guild plays super late night, so I'm always available. Plus, one of the things I was looking for when I joined a new guild was that I wanted to play more for the sake of progression. Whether that was more raid nights, more key nights, VOD review night, whatever that could have been.
What is it? I mean, it shows a bit of a lack of motivation. Not really. What if you're trying to go out every Friday and Saturday night and go clubbing, buddy? Clubs ain't open on Monday.
We would have
Actually, they probably are, but it's not hype.
Over Friday and Saturday, taking Sunday off.
Yeah, when was the last time you guys went to a club, by the way?
The weekly reset. Up to this point, I've been rostered for every fight so far, which was great and all, but because of how much easier the first 4 bosses were compared to Overbooking,
it's been a minute.
I was pretty nervous about whether I'd be rostered, because this boss felt like the first instance of, we need to bring our best players. So when I saw my name on the roster, I felt relieved, and immediately locked the fuck in.
Yeah.
This was the mid-tier progression boss that my trial agreement had been based around. Everything I've done has led up to this moment.
W-type shit!
If I play like beans, my trial could be over.
Oh!
But if I play well, I might just earn a raid spot. And for our first day of progression, we spent the full
This guy
3
definitely was watching the race, by the way.
hours troubleshooting weak ores. Having functioning weak ores for this fight was essential, especially for egg breaks. If somebody didn't have a weak ore installed, or had the wrong version, or they
Post
had the
a quick
wrong
clip of him
big rig setting
topping
enabled, our
on the
egg break
poll.
assignments
Why not?
would not work, and then we could.
Everyone
not
else
do
is holding
this.
CDs for the ads, all good.
Of course, having 20 people show up to raid with all the correct weak ores and weak ore settings wasn't going to happen.
God, this boss was
Especially this
so
early into
hard.
progression when very few people had actually taken this boss down. So, as a raid, we spent most of our time reinstalling weak ores, tweaking settings, and pulling the boss until it worked.
Yeah.
So,
one of the worst weak aura bosses of all time.
not a great first night, but with the weekly reset, we would re-clear Heroic and Mythic raid and begin Brood Twister prog for real this time.
Dude, that made me realize that people don't even understand. Like, when we had these conversations recently about, like, what bosses weak auras are bad for, you know, obviously people were like, what bosses in the past couldn't have existed? And I started talking about some of them, and viewers were naming them, and they were basically just naming hard bosses. And you'd be surprised the amount of hard bosses in WoW's history, even recently, where weak auras, like, straight up do not fucking matter, outside of your UI being more, you know, just better, right? But like, there's basically no weak aura interaction with them at all. But bosses like this, and how much people complain about them, make you think that like weak auras are like terrible on every fight, you know. But it does completely ruin bosses like this
would
one.
also mark my first time playing Assassination this tier. Assassination's damage profile lent itself really well to doing a buttload of boss damage. Which,
Max, now that you mention it, what's the best non-weak aura boss? I mean, that's like almost every boss. Like if I were to tell you the best bosses of the last 5 years, like a top 5, like, it wouldn't be any different. The non-weak aura version wouldn't be any different than the weak aura version, because almost any, you know what I mean?
complemented the rest of our roster of DPS that were fully set on nuking the hell out of the ads. And on the pulls where our weak auras didn't brick, I felt like I was playing pretty well. but due to the nature of this fight, with every egg break and worm kick being a pass or fail mechanic, progression was slow. You could not progress on this fight until every player could correctly kick a worm and break their egg. But this also meant after several days of pulling the boss, I had reached a certain level of mastery I hadn't experienced in Raid before.
Yes.
In the sense that I had fully mapped out my offensive and defensive cooldowns over the course of the fight.
I love
I had
that.
optimized my positioning and movement such that I needed to move as little as possible for mechanics, and when I did need to move...
For me, that's what it is about raiding. There's a point where you reach... So I think, basically, any boss that takes a decent amount of time, the road to mastery on that fight is what I find fun about raiding. I like raiding with other people, but on a personal level, getting to that level of mastery and just actually being locked the fuck in and like knowing exactly where you're supposed to be, that is what I find so fun. And then once you're at that point, it's fun to be at the point of full or almost full mastery. And then it starts, when you start hating bosses, is when you've been at that point for a long time and the boss isn't dead yet, which is why, you know, you really want to raid with people around your same skill level, because ideally everyone would want to kill the boss. Because realistically, when everyone's at that level of mastery, the boss dies. And if you're at that level of mastery and the boss isn't dying, it means there's a lot of other people who are not, or they're doing a job that's harder than you, mostly healers, right? So I don't know. I just find that aspect of raiding to be interesting and the main motivator of why I find raiding fun.
I had mobility cooldowns available, things of that sort. Then it became a matter of...
And it's another reason why you want to be in a guild with decent skill parity is if you're the person that isn't at the average skill parity of your guild, you actually never get to experience what this guy is talking about, because you are the person everyone else is waiting on, right? No one likes to be that person, but that is you sometimes. And then you never get to actually experience this, because by the time you finally get there, the boss dies, and it's like a relief, you know? But you've been struggling the whole time getting there.
In those things, every single pull. I kind of think of it as playing like a robot, in the sense that you try to remain as consistent as possible from pull to pull. And eventually, after nearly 200 pulls of the big worm, Brute Twister would go down. And I felt like, all things considered,
oh, that boss is
I
dead.
played pretty well.
That boss
But
is
in the
fucking
back of
dead.
my mind, there was still this air of uncertainty. My trial had been described to me as lasting until we reached a mid-tier progression boss in the War Within, which Brute Twister definitely was. But
look at him, he's happy.
Now what?
That's the feeling, bro.
Hadn't heard anything regarding my trial, so I didn't know what the next steps would be. But I wouldn't have to wait long.
Cool last night.
Holy.
No, I needed a mental reset.
Okay, so
That is crazy, bro.
for
This one makes the bits.
for right now, I want to congratulate
Frankie, thank you.
Shindigs on his promotion.
Let's go.
Yo.
Oh, yo.
Yo.
Hey.
Never asked. Any conclusion to the video now?
Holy.
You learned it here first.
We're a raider,
You don't have to
dude.
put numbers into your items. You just like get promoted.
If you're in as one of the top people when you hit the hard boss, you're no longer a trial. That definitely true. Definitely true. But I actually do agree with that, like how they did it here. Because like killing the hard boss and you're already happy, and then like you get the congratulations promotion, I think that's like more ceremonial and cooler. But you're right, like the moment he actually passed his trial is when they needed to put in all their best players on the hardest boss, and they choose you. At the single instant that that happens, you have passed your trial. You were right.
I did it. I passed my trial. And this is where the video was supposed to end. But I kind of procrastinated making it, and a lot more has happened. So we're going to speedrun the rest of the raid. Princess Kaiveza, my favorite boss this tier. No goofy weak-aura stuff, just raw, do mechanics with large personal responsibility. Especially because I was the only non-tank melee that had to share an intermission spot with another melee.
Oh,
Shout out
yep.
Gladys.
Yep.
Having to
Yep.
troubleshoot
Yep.
and work together to make
Yep.
sure we didn't
Yep.
murder each other every pull was super challenging, but a lot of fun. Plus, to cap it off for our progression kill, I got the rank 2 parse in this fight with the tank trinket. Tank trinket for our progression kill.
How is Smacked? Why does Smacked have a log? We don't have any of our logs showing.
I got the rank
What
2
happened?
parts in this fight with the tank trinket.
Fuck's he doing?
On the other hand, was much less enjoyable. Another weak ore
You guys
boss.
think he's
as we
Percy
spent
logging?
Way too many pulls trying to figure out why our dispel weak ore wasn't working. Also, the nature of having to play around 2 teams of people that instantly die as soon as they touch circles of the opposite colored person was super obnoxious and resulted in a 70-page PowerPoint presentation of precise movement we had to execute to kill this boss.
Hot take about Stone Legion. Okay. So all this stuff, all the graphs he's posting, is that really frustrating? Was this a fun progression boss for most people? No. But I'm glad that Blizzard did it. Because they've actually never made a boss like this before, which is actually very, very much like other MMOs have very similar kind of fights where it's not a huge burden on execution, but it's about like memorizing dance steps and different variations of how things can happen. And that is exactly how this fight actually plays, regardless of the Stone Legion. Sorry, did I say I must have read Stone Legion, Silken Court. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so the boss that's on the screen right now, this one. So yeah, Silken Court. Silken Court is a different kind of WoW raid boss, but I'm glad they made it. It is I know a lot of you hated it. And I think in hindsight, I don't think Blizzard will make a boss that plays quite like this again. But I'm glad that they cooked and tried something different. That's my take.
Had to execute to kill this boss.
Because sometimes they try some shit like that and it owns, and then you have a new kind of raid boss.
Web blades, very not easy. Plus, the random element it introduced every pull,
That's the
switching up
nerf
the
version.
way you had to navigate the platform, made things notably challenging.
You don't even know what you're dealing
Also,
with, kid.
popping the circle was not fun. I swear the hitbox on this little green shit is the most inconsistent thing I have ever had to deal with. Phase 2 was fine. Most of our time spent here was due to portal people progging when to go into the portals at the correct time, but I wasn't assigned to one, so I got to payphone my way through the platforms. At least that is when I didn't Shadow Step the Expeller and get hit by the beam behind the mob. Then Phase 3 was awesome. As a rogue, Shadow Stepping the suck and having to navigate the essences correctly was a fun challenge. Plus, I got to play the minigame of kicking the ad at the last possible second after its shield was broken. And what made this progression a lot of fun were the stakes. After 2 weeks of pulling Ansarek, we would find out that Hall of Fame would close with the following reset.
Oh shit.
Now, for those unfamiliar, Hall of Fame is an achievement earned by the first 200 guilds worldwide to get Cutting Edge, or kill Mythic Queen Ansarek. However, the guild achievement and corresponding in-game title that gets awarded does not close until the weekly reset. It was originally thought Hall of Fame would close on the 21st, as the 200th guild to get Cutting Edge did so Tuesday morning at 4:17 a.m. Pacific time, just a few hours before the reset. However, Blizzard said, nah, YOLO, we keeping that shit open for one more week. This left one final week for guilds that wanted...
I think that's fair, by the way. I know this was controversial, but I think it's like totally fine.
The Hall of Fame achievement.
Because like, wouldn't you have basically had no time? Like the 200th kill was like literally hours before the reset. I think the point of this thing is you're supposed to have like some time to see that it's there, and they want you to be able to like go and actually like try to attain this thing. They want to have the stakes feel real, and normally it does because they don't die. The bosses usually don't die right before reset. They usually die. The 200th kill is like somewhere halfway through the reset, and where this makes sense, right?
Meant to kill the boss. This was exciting, especially for us who hadn't yet killed the boss, but we also hadn't seen Phase 3, and at this point we had moved to a 3-day raid schedule. So, with our current state of
Overtime?
progression and without as much...
Oh, I hope this guy in his first experience got some overtime
raid
rating in.
time, getting this achievement seemed out of reach. Especially after our first day progression following this weekly reset.
It's a good video.
One full raid day went by and we still had yet to see Phase 3. But, on the next day, after a bit of a rocky start, not only did we see our first ever Phase 3, we pushed the boss to 24%, setting a new best pull by nearly a third of the boss's health. We would follow up the next day with multiple sub 20% pulls.
Oh, shit.
Our best of which had us bring the boss to 15%.
They're locking in?
But unfortunately, that was our last raid day for the week. We just
Until-
ran out of time and had to call it there.
Until...
Only to extend and run it back the next day because we were going to kill this boss.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a good example of this too.
Only to and had to call it there.
Only time I think overtime is bad with WoW guilds. It totally depends on the guild too, but if you're saying, yo boys, log on tomorrow, and like an officer is saying that, and the raid's like, oh, we have to fucking, oh my god, like I did not sign up for this. That sucks, and that shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? But if you're getting told you're doing overtime because you want, all the people want to log in and kill the boss and like get Hall of Fame or whatever, no one should ever have a problem with that. That's totally chill, I think. Like if you want a game, why the fuck wouldn't you game?
Because we were going to kill this boss.
But people still like look down on it. Who cares? Fucking care, bro. Just fucking game. Did you kill it though? The thing is, though, that can happen is, like, you pull that overtime day, that first overtime day where you think the boss is definitely going to die. You introduce a lot of emotions, because then people start thinking the boss isn't going to die, and then they don't lock in. And then you don't do well. Especially if you're raiding on a day you don't normally raid on. People, like, are just different times of their day, different schedules, they do different things. Oh shit, pretty low pull. Oh, they don't even kill the acolytes. Wait, is the world or US ranked 100th guild, did they even still kill it late enough to where you actually... This boss was so nerfed that you didn't even have to kill the acolytes? Holy Priest details name, Sloppy Toppin' Queen. Wow. That's a name. I would also be willing to bet that's a dude. Max W, she's a rank 1 Holy Priest. Alright, wrong on the dude allegation. Oh, yeah, so wait, is this actually happening though, where they're like, they're doing the late tier falling off? Yeah, 15 minutes remaining. Wait.
Remember under boss with condemnations. Get in the link.
Wait, huh?
If you have.
Every defensive you got right here.
Get in the link.
Oh, that boss is low. That boss is not healthy whatsoever.
Get someone up. We can kill. Kick,
It's dead.
Kick. We kill.
Every other
This way,
defensive.
get portals away. Get portals
Pot
away.
if you need.
If you can deliver, get the portals away. Dodge, ball, and kill. Kill.
Come on.
Dude, those are some excited nerd screams. 15 minutes left in raid on an overtime day. There's a lot of stakes there. You feel a lot of pressure. You know?
Oh my god.
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Holy shit.
Girl raid leader 2, W.
And that is how I met your mother. Wrong line. That's how I managed to pass my trial
Hi,
and
Lily.
join a Hall of Fame raid guild. Now, before I end the video, I was able to speak with our guild's leadership and share some stats to put things into perspective.
Hi, Lily.
Of all applications that are submitted to Tab Target, applying for a raid spot, about 1 in every 10 are granted a trial. Of those trialing players, maybe 15% end up passing their trial. Or
Really? That is is that low as fuck? Or is that, am I just like super out of touch with like, I mean, obviously our situation's a lot different, but I would assume like trials are more likely. That guild must have 0 turnover. If they, I mean, if they take, but it doesn't sound like they take so many trials. How many applications does a US rank 100 guild get every tier? I mean, it sounds like hundreds. Oh, hi, Lily. I was in an EU 200 and we sorted through hundreds. Bro, 85% of the people's trials not making it sounds crazy.
for reference, during my stint as a trial, and encompassing all of Narubar Palace progression, only 3 out of 16 trialing players, myself included, passed their trial. Put together, about 2%.
That's crazy, right?
2% of all applicants are promoted to a core raider spot.
I think he might be self-glazing
Now,
here.
I'm not sharing this information to dissuade people from applying to Tab Target or whatever guild you aspire to join, but I think it puts into perspective the amount of filtering that goes into finding the right fit. Not just for Tab, but for a lot of guilds out in the Mythic raiding space. While this breakdown of applicants granted trials and then trials promoted to raiders may vary for different guilds, when I look back on when I had applied to more than 20 guilds and how only one of those guilds even agreed to offer me a trial, it does showcase just how exclusive high-level Mythic raiding can be.
Yeah.
Or, better put, how exclusive it is as someone without high-level Mythic raid experience that wants to be a part of that scene. In the words of our GM and raid leader, when I applied to Tab Target, I was this happy, starry-eyed kid with a below-average retail rating resume. But I had a background of rating at a high level in Classic, and while they certainly weren't confident, they ultimately decided it was worth seeing whether my ability in Classic could translate to retail. So I'm happy to sit here today and say I was able to show that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing.
So this is interesting. So he released this, great video by the way. He released this 2 weeks ago. Obviously, the point in which he ends this video was 4 or 5 months ago. And he did an entire other raid tier in between, right? And apparently he left this guild and joined another guild called Idiot. Right? Wasn't that one of the, was that one of the ones he applied to at the beginning? All right. So YouTube's just not going to work, by the way. All good. Okay, it's right when I hit. Okay. Cool. He did not apply. Oh, he did. Idiot. Cool. So what's that story? I'm assuming there's not a lot of drama. Just seems like this guy's motivated to raid at a high level, and if he's willing, if he's raiding in guild rank 112 and he gets an offer from 15, he's just gonna go, you know? If that's what his goals are. A lot of people in Tab Target, maybe their goal is, I like to raid exactly on these days, I don't want to raid it anymore, and I like my boys, and I'm staying here. Cool. But he just joined, you know? He probably wants to, this is a very common move, probably zero drama. Yeah. recruit this man? Nah. This guy to liquid pipeline is he goes up and up and up. He gets into one of these top guilds. We hear from some of their players where they're like, yo, this dude's our best player, and then we need specifically a rogue, and then we would recruit him. That's the pipeline. Why do NA people always use NA rank and not just world rank? This is my weirdest pet peeve with EU raiders is why the fuck do you care? This person only raids in North America. He's never going to raid in EU. When he's ranking these guilds and talking about where he's going to go to, why would he rank them anywhere else than where in the region he's applying to? Who fucking cares? You guys have been I've been hearing this for like 10 years. It's so strange.
Guild tab target. And, well, that video blew up.
Max, he's rating an idiot at the moment. Yeah, I know that. And with multiple characters. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Oh my god, Max has been streaming for more than 2 hours? That's a good point you just brought up. What you just said, you know, I didn't realize that until you just said it. I was ready to go too. I was ready to fucking go. Let's do some content, baby. Yo, by the way, did that Dune Awakening game end up being fun? Didn't you guys play it? Shroud still playing it. Looks trash. No, yeah, I was at Disney with Shroud last Sunday, and then for his birthday, and they said they were doing it, and I said I would do it, and then they said they were starting at Thursday at 7 a.m. In which my response was obviously no, but so yeah, I was just too late to the party. I think they started at a completely inhuman time. You only do 7 a.m. sponsored streams? Yeah, but that's because I'm forced to do so, you know? All right. Anyways. Dogs, what are we yelling about right now? I like how I say anyways and they all fucking know, man. Lily. Ella, do you have a dino? Ella, can I see your dino? Ella, come here. Show me. Can I have it? Look at the dino. It's like what is this? What kind of dino is this? Okay, you can have... Oh, Jesus. Where's Reptar? Come here, buddy. Okay. Yeah. Reptar's right here. And that's a small black dog is Edna. That's a girlfriend's dog. She's a pig. Come here, Edna. Come here, girl. Come on. Up here. Reptar, do you think that's you? Yes, she is named after Edna from The Incredibles as well. All right. I'll see you guys. I don't know when. Oh, I have a sponsor stream tomorrow. for Crystal of Atlan again. And it won't be as early in the morning, I believe. And I'm also not level 60 yet, and I'm supposed to be level 60 for that game, so the rest of today will be a journey. So we'll see how that happens.